Chakras are like artificial implants in 4D. These are like plugs, okay, they're artificial overlays that lock into our energy field for entities, interdimensionals, and other forms of distorted consciousness to feed on our emotions, negative, low vibrational, and sexual energy. So it's not like, you know, you lay down on a bed and I'm there with the tongs and like removing stuff from the body. Because the chakras are actually in the fourth dimension, which is, if any of you have watched David Icke stuff, he talks about the dimension that's just outside the physical. Okay, human beings are almost blind to what we can see out there. There's a whole lot more going on around the same space that we're not aware of because we can't see it. We're basically blind because we can see what we call a tiny bandwidth, which is visible light. So there's all this other stuff going on in 4D, the astral realm, including alien implants, hybrid. We've actually got a term for it. We have the thesaurus, this stuff. It's called hybrid subordination machinery. But all this stuff is implants in the fourth dimension. Essentially what we're doing is we're using a combination of intention, pendulum work. Pendulum has actually got about 100 crystals in it. Pendulum work and attunements or frequencies that I've obtained over the last couple of years of doing this work. This work goes so much deeper than chakras because there are ways of removing your own chakras. So in the third dimension, you look at all the surveillance, the monitoring that's going on. Everything's going on to keep us locked down, right? But what we found is that in 4D, exactly the same is going on in 4D. We are being monitored. Our levels of consciousness are being monitored. Our heart energy is being monitored. We're being surveilled on a level that is mind-blowing. So what happens if you just go off and you remove your chakras, then it actually sets an alarm off in 4D, okay, which alerts these distorted forms of consciousness, and there's many of them. So it alerts AI, it alerts some of the interdimensional realm, the demonic realm, God, renounced Titan, multi-dimensional warlocks. The Pleiadians are involved. The Pleiadians obviously are, you know, everyone wants to be a Pleiadian because that's all that's on YouTube, but the Pleiadians are good. Well, they're actually part of it as well. Aliens are feeding different types. So we're being surveilled because humans are so powerful. This is the cosmic joke. We're actually so powerful that this is why we have so many parasites hanging off of us, draining our energy, because we're powerful batteries. Essentially, that's what we are. So when we talk about removing the chakras, it's not a physical thing, like I say, and all these other implants. But what we found is that all these other overlays and all the other hybrid subordination machinery as well. So what we're finding is basically like amplifiers around the head, around the heart, which are kind of transmitting, they're like transmitters, transmitting low vibrational thoughts, low vibrational vibrations around the heart area. And to keep our consciousness in check and our heart energy in check, we have found, or I've found, like metallic plates on the right side of the brain, with like lights and things like that, which alert, which are monitoring, because again, the right side of the brain, they want that closed down, they want it shut down, because that's our creative part. You know, human beings are creative beings, that's what we are. So they don't want us creating anything other than this prison cell that essentially we've helped create, is in a co-creation. All the other overlays I talk about, where the DNA has been overlaid, for example, strand 7, which is supposed to radiate love, has been overlaid so it radiates anger and that kind of thing. So, and we have holographic themes transmitted into us at night that make us dream fearful subjects, and then they've overlaid our astral body, so they're feeding on our energy at night. And I think I've said before, this is why you can have 8 to 10 hours sleep and still feel drained in the morning, because you have been basically being used as a battery overnight. When we talk about removing this stuff, it has to be done in meticulous order, because it's AI behind it. AI has backup systems, it has fail safes, it has detonators go off that if you reach a certain level of consciousness and you feel good, then a detonator will go off and bring you back down. So it sounds a bit depressing, but this is what we're dealing with. And people are reporting just feeling a lot calmer and tranquil. And Sandra says here, I feel calmer and not over emotional anymore. I think it was a good start, but still have lots of work to do. Yeah, exactly. We're living in a computer game. Yeah, it's a simulation, and we're all on different levels of the game. Some of us haven't even started the game. So I liken it to Mario, Super Mario. I'm a bit of an 80s man. I like my 80s. It's the last time I remember having any kind of freedom. This modality is a tool to level you up on the game. So you know when like Mario has a big mushroom when he headbutts the box, and then he grows bigger, and then he's able to deal with the end boss better. And so it's almost like that, because what we're doing is we're always constantly trying to level ourselves up, and we do this by changing our diet. You know, many of us have turned to plant-based or whatever. Maybe you've not transitioned to that yet, but we're in a period now where we're looking at everything that we've been taught has been a lie, so we're looking to change things, and we're finding new information all the time about so much different stuff. And this is coming out. This work's coming out at a time where so much other stuff's coming away. So what this is really basically is becoming more energetically free, becoming more energetically clearer. It's all for the greater good of becoming the best version of you, becoming more energetically authentic and free. We're taking stuff out of 4D that's been implanted. They're often very heavily targeted. Max Spears, if any of you know him, he was here to deliver great truths and great messages. Unfortunately, they got him in the end. A lot of these targeted individuals go through absolute hell. And this woman on my Facebook, she approached me the other day, and really targeted. I mean, she's having her mind messed with and all kinds of stuff. And she's not had peace and quiet for about 2 years. It started 2 years ago. We had a really, really long session. This went on for maybe 2.5 hours. This session we had. I found so much stuff on her. I was absolutely drained. I was drained the next day. But hopefully she'll come on here. But she said, Tony, for the first time in 2 years, I've actually got peace and quiet. So it's really amazing, the results. So we actually have a scarcity program running through us. Scarcity is in our genetic DNA anyway, because many humans here, we're involved in the soul mill, whereby we're being tricked by the false white light and we're reincarnating back down to earth. And what we've experienced genetically over time is many wars, poverty, scarcity, rationing. So scarcity, it's in our DNA, but it's also a program that's running on us as well that also needs to be removed. So it all feeds into scarcity, because when we're in the scarcity mindset, we're not in our center, we're not connected to essence, and we can't make good decisions. The fact is that when you eat meat, you're eating the low vibrational energy of that animal and what it felt at the time of death, which was fear. Okay. Now, what does fear play into? It plays into these entities, it plays into these interdimensionals, it plays into these distorted consciousnesses that feed on that very vibration. So why do you think that they want us to eat meat? Why have we grown up eating meat? It's because they need that energy to feed them. So we're all feeding off each other. And this is why when you do turn to a plant, and you have to do it safely, don't get me wrong, there is an agenda out there right now with veganism where they want people eating this fake meat, this Frankenstein meat that's plant-based, that bleeds this weird blood looking stuff. So there's definitely an agenda with veganism because they're trying to honey trap the people that are turning to a plant-based diet. But essentially, if you can stick to a maybe plant-based, you're not feeding that anymore. So when you have all these overlays removed and you're much more in tune with your spirit knows you shouldn't be eating meat. Your spirit knows it. And that's why so many people tend to change their diets after this. And it's the same with alcohol as well. People suddenly, all of a sudden, alcohol's not as appealing as it was. There's what you'll notice, guys, over time, you'll notice even more subtle differences. It's a process. I mean, like I've explained in the session, the whole body of work is huge, so it takes about a year for everything to integrate anyway. So you'll notice as the year goes on, you'll make more. A lot of people feel less anxious, like there was a comment before, the anxiety goes, because these entities that attach, they're always looping negativity and anxiety into us, and as well as these projections and amplifiers that we have around us. So you remove a lot of the noise, suddenly you're more clearer, and you can make much better decisions about your life. We've all tried to paper over the cracks with different stuff. I've done it myself. Everyone's down the gym, everyone wants to get muscles and blah, blah, blah. We're manifesting from unconscious or our subconscious mind. By healing yourself, it's affecting your family, it's affecting your kids. They're going to grow up much more grounded, they're going to grow up much less more damaged. And then so that the world heals. That's what I love. We're all ripples in the ocean. We have to do the work on the ground here, but there is also work with connecting to our spiritual side and understanding the astral realm and understanding that we have this other dimension very close to our own where there's a lot of stuff going on and there's a lot of distorted consciousness in there that is kind of manipulating and pulling the strings on our own energy and of course of the people in governments, in positions of control, which is all what David Icke talks about. This is where this is. I almost feel his work is a good grounding for this because this seems to take it on to another level. It definitely seems to link in with what he talks about, but then it goes into the overlays and the other alien implants that we have and all these different holographic themes and grids and stuff like this. Yeah, absolutely, stress hormones. I mean, you imagine these animals aren't stupid. I mean, there's pictures all over the internet of cows with tears in their eyes, and when you eat low vibrational food, it's going to have an effect on your energy. We are what we eat, and if we eat death and suffering, then that's going to be our vibration. And for me, just the health benefits alone, my health was terrible before I gave up meat. So the emotional work is just as important as the energy work, which is just as important as looking after your physical body and keeping a high vibration. So it all ties in. It's like spinning plates, isn't it? But when you raise your vibration to a high level, I don't think that this stuff can mess with you as much, because all of this stuff, right, is to keep us in a low vibration. It's to keep consciousness down. And the way they do that is obviously they mess around with our electromagnetic field, and then we elevate ourselves above a lot of this stuff. Can you do a video on showing how you heal people? I just did one. If you look at my last video, I talk about what happens in sessions, doing stuff to hack this matrix down, aligned with someone who is not for their greatest purpose. And those people can cause absolute devastation to someone. And they call them alien love bites. If you look into the work of Evil Organ, she does great work around the alien love bites, whereby people are put into our path, because these distorted consciousnesses, they know our blueprint. They know that we're going to be people that are going to try and, raise awareness, raise consciousness, heal people. So they will try and put people like that off their path. So they will put people in that will, not all the time, don't get me wrong, you have to be very discerning, but they can put people into your life that can present themselves as, a soulmate, or there's this whole thing about finding a twin flame or soulmate, and actually it can be one of the most negative experiences in your life, and I know because it's happened to me, and it can devastate you. So anyone walking the path of truth, be very, very careful who you allow into your life, because that is also being tampered with and messed with. Not always. If you're in a good space and you're in alignment and you're doing the work on yourself, it's a lot harder for that to happen. But they've also overlaid as well. It's something that I would look into. Evil Organ. Look at her work. She's got a book called, I think it's called The Alien Love Bite. It's fantastic work what she's done. She uncovers all of this. So we have to become our own best friends, and we have to become our own encouragers for sure. Whales and dolphins are very high vibrational. I mean, they're very targeted as well. Look at all the whale and dolphin rituals there are in Japan and in the Faroe Islands, the way they slaughter them. I know in satanic rituals, they also slaughter dolphins. I've heard from people that are exposing this, and people I've worked on, that they use dolphins in their rituals. So that would make complete sense, actually. Very, very interesting. Very, very sad, but very, very interesting. because their light's gone out, they need it from other people. The number one thing you have to protect is your energy. If someone is stealing your energy, the quicker we get to grips with the fact that we're energetic beings and everything is an energy around us, then the quicker we can transcend this and change this reality. I'm all about busting open the matrix with you guys, because the time's come now. The time has come to end this matrix, and it's happening. And it's thanks to people like you guys all doing your thing. We're going to bring this down. I feel in a way like they've already lost. We're just going through the motions. There's plenty of so-called spiritual people that are toxic as fuck. Being spiritual doesn't necessarily mean that you're not an energy vampire. I've come across many spiritual people that are energy vampires, and actually they use spirituality to masquerade as something that they're not. Caring what people think about you is the number one way you will not live your highest purpose. You will never get there by caring what people think. You have to get over that. Yeah, pendulum. Yeah, if you can learn pendulum, tune in and trust. You want to get your yes, your no's. So circle for yes or straight ahead for no, and just ask it questions. Am I a man? Am I a female?